and tales of vampires, but there's one that stands out to me more than anything else, and that's the story of the Casket girls. Now, depending on who you talk to, the story goes that the city's founders asked France to send over prospective wives for the colonists. France obliged, and many young girls arrived, bearing only as many belongings as would fit in a little casket, a little bag, which appears to be the 18th century equivalent of an overnight bag. You're too cute.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Gonna go with it? She's a bat. Check that out. Some say the Casket girls were fine young women. Others say that they were even orphans, or some would even go as far as saying that they were prostitutes. But there are people who say that the Casket girls were the first vampires, that they brought vampires to New Orleans, and they were kept behind these doors at the Ursuline convent here in New Orleans. All right, Jessica, let's see this bat coat you got. I absolutely love it, especially the ears. Yeah, that's just cute. So you might be asking yourself, why were they called the Casket girls? Well, after spending weeks, sometimes months, on long trips across the ocean from France to here, when they arrived here, they looked a little sickly, rather pale, rather gaunt. And whenever they came off the boats, carrying their little casket purses, little luggage things, I bet they kind of looked like vampires. I thought I saw you poking around that corner. Wait, are you a vampire in the sunlight?
You guys see that?
It's so cute. What you're looking at right now is the old Ursuline convent. This is where the Casket girls lived when they arrived here in New Orleans. Right now, all the windows are boarded up, but usually it's just those windows up there on the 3rd floor. They always remain boarded. The story goes that those windows are nailed shut with nails blessed by the Catholic Church. That makes sense, right? To keep a vampire in and protect the citizens here in New Orleans? I dig it. Jessica and I have been to New Orleans twice now, and each time that we've been here, this building has been closed to tours. I wish we can get inside there, more importantly, up to the 3rd floor. There's no doubt that there's so much history here in New Orleans, but I think that the story of the Casket girls has to be my favorite. I am a sucker for anything vampires and religious horror, and this has them both in it. Jessica, you're just looking extra creepy over there. You guys see her? Do the bat wings. That's perfect. I am a sucker for quick read historical plaques. I have a hard time going through museums and reading every single thing in there. But this is short and sweet. Old Ursuline Convent, home of Ursuline nuns who came from France to relieve the poor, sick, and provide education for young girls.
You know how, like, in some of the usually older horror movies and some of the more recent ones, how there's always that little bit of information that pops up on screen, you know, that kind of gives you a sense of the story that's about to unravel? That plaque sounded just like the beginning of, like, oh, they came over to do all this good and everything, and then it went wrong. Horribly, murderously, very wrong. I guess it kind of did.
Here's a shot of the side of the building. I don't know if you can see this, but right about the center of your screen in the very back, let me zoom in a little bit. See that mosaic piece in the back there? Rather interesting. Here's a different angle of the convent. It's a beautiful building. There's one more story that I do want to talk about two mysterious deaths that happened here on the front steps of the convent. I don't know if we can see them. I kind of have to lift the camera up over the wall, but let's see what we can see. It was virtually impossible to see the front steps, the front doors of that place, but quite some time ago, there were two paranormal investigators, I do believe, who broke into this place at night. The next morning, they found both of them dead on the front steps, supposedly drained of blood. So they say. Now, it could just be a ghost story, part of the vampire tours here in New Orleans. And who knows? It's just an interesting piece of the puzzle that just adds to the darkness, the horror of what this city is. It's a beautiful city. But it's twisted.